Hi, I'm Jenna.
And I'm Tina. And this is Couch Conversations.
Happy New Year!
It's Breathe into the New Year is our theme, and reducing exacerbations. So we'll fully get into exacerbations today in our little chat.
It's a big word, isn't it?
Exacerbations. You don't want to be an exacerbator.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like, what does it even mean? It's something you've heard your doctors talk about or other healthcare professionals you've seen.
And there's a bunch of words that all mean the same thing. So we're using the word exacerbation. You could call it a flare-up or a lung attack or
Worsening.
a worsening. Yeah, worsening.
Yeah.
They're all weird words.
So
but they all mean the same thing.
Yeah, they do.
Which means like your lungs are angry, they are not happy, your breathing is worse, you have more symptoms, there is a problem.
Yeah. And it's often something that, because certain of our chronic lung conditions, we can expect that they might worsen gradually over time. But this is something that you feel almost, I'm going to use a medical word, like almost acutely.
Yeah, more suddenly.
And
like you notice a change, like compared to last week or a few days ago even.
Yeah. And not all chronic lung conditions are prone to these exacerbations, but definitely things like asthma and COPD will be.
Yeah, and other lung conditions too, but those would be the big two. COPD and asthma definitely have exacerbations, and it's a word you would have heard if you have those lung conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than feeling pretty crappy during an exacerbation, so your breathing symptoms are probably feeling worse, so whether that's more shortness of breath or
certain symptoms you can look for. So feeling short of breath, chest tightness,
more mucus production,
coughing more often.
And these are all changes from your baseline. So all of you out there will have different things going on with your lungs, different lung severities. And so you might have symptoms that kind of feel normal for you. So these are symptoms where you notice a change.
There's a difference, yeah. So maybe you always have mucus that comes up every day, you cough up mucus, that's normal for you. But if it's a different color or it's thicker,
or there's more
of it, that's a sign of an exacerbation.
Yeah. And so how long should people wait with this change in symptoms before they talk to somebody or tell somebody or do something about it?
You know what? You shouldn't wait. Don't wait. There's no time like the present. If you notice a change, you should have a reaction or a step that you can take because of that.
And usually you're noticing this change within, 48 hours. So the symptoms are kind of staying around for 48 hours or more. Because sometimes we know that we've done a thing to cause a change in our breathing. Yeah. And what we actually need to do is just kind of rest and recover. For example, if
maybe you went out and walked by a really busy street.
Right.
And you're breathing in all that pollution.
Yeah.
And then you start coughing up mucus that is dark in color. You might expect that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So you know why.
Yeah. So you avoid your trigger. Maybe you've got a plan you're following. You take reliever medications. And maybe within 24 hours you're feeling fine.
Yeah. And maybe don't walk by that highway anymore.
That's a whole other couch conversation. But so it's generally around this 48-hour mark where things are still persisting and you've done some good things, like maybe you've rested, maybe you took a relaxed day, like got rid of a really busy schedule, maybe you've taken more reliever inhaler.
Maybe you're drinking more water.
Yeah. And maybe you're clearing out your mucus.
Yeah, doing your mucus clearance techniques.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that'll be another conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing your deep breathing, maybe your pursed lip breathing, your relaxation. And if after all of this things are still persisting, definitely go
Don't
talk
wait
to someone.
around.
Yeah. So that means, who should we see?
Well, reach out to your care providers.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to your care provider. If you have an action plan, and we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
If you have an action plan, you'll know what to do and who to reach out to. But definitely just reach out to your care provider. Maybe you have a respirologist, or you call them a pulmonologist.
Yeah. Family doctor, nurse practitioner, your local respiratory therapist or certified respiratory educator.
Let people know.
Pharmacist, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is one problem in research about exacerbations, is that a lot of them go unreported. And so people are not reaching out to their care providers, or the next time you see your care provider, maybe you forgot about it because it's resolved by the time you see them. So it's really good to reach out in the moment.
And that's not just to make sure you're on the right path, but we know in terms of treatment and getting better from your exacerbation, but we know these exacerbations, they're like just a firework in your trajectory of living with your lung condition. There's like this point of time where your risks for things are higher. So your risk for a future exacerbation is higher. Your risk to dramatically reduce your lung function and not be able to recover that fully in some people is higher. So we want your doctor to know. Your doctor should know this, because these healthcare providers can help you on a plan to reduce your future risk.
Yes, and they say that the number one predictor of somebody who is going to have an exacerbation is someone who had an exacerbation. So they don't just come one, it's like sneezes for me. They come in groups. Once you've had one, that's what puts you at risk for more. And so if you don't get the first one properly addressed, probably you're going to keep on having more. So you've got to get your lung condition under control. And having an exacerbation is a sign that maybe it's not actually under control.
Because we know some of you. We know you power through those moments when
I'm fine!
Yeah. I just, I'll sleep it out, or I'll be better tomorrow, or, and you power through.
It's not really bothering me. I'm fine.
Yeah. And we know you have responsibilities, kids to look after, your job to do, grandchildren to look after. But these exacerbations, what we're trying to tell you...
it's a canary in the coal mine.
Huh?
Coal mine? Gold mine? Gold.
Yeah.
Canary in a coal mine? I don't know what kind of mine it is. Canary in the mine.
Yeah.
So it's telling you, maybe I'm not managed properly. Maybe more needs to happen for me to stay on top of my lung condition and keep my lungs happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what an exacerbation is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
We've gone through a little bit some of the risks, why we want to prevent future ones.
Yeah.
So I guess, if you're heeding that advice and you're like, okay, Jenna, Tina, I'm listening to what you're saying, I get it. You might be asking, well, how are the ways I could prevent a future one?
Yeah, and so let's talk about what can cause an exacerbation, maybe.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about how we can prevent those things.
Okay.
So what causes an exacerbation?
Well, there are many respiratory triggers out there, and those respiratory triggers can cause an exacerbation.
Any trigger.
Things like colds, flus, viruses,
Yeah.
Allergy triggers for some people, pollution triggers.
Air pollution, pollen.
Stress. And usually, anecdotally speaking, those who I've worked with in my experience that have had really bad exacerbations, the kind that land you in an emergency room or in a hospital visit, there was usually a very large component of stress.
Stress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's, it weakens us.
Sure, yeah, it does. Yeah.
It weakens us, and it makes us more vulnerable. Our immune systems don't work as efficiently as they do when we're well rested and when we take good care of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so there's some, in those lists of triggers, I would also include smoke,
smoking,
tobacco smoke,
vaping.
Things like that. So those can all be triggers. So when we think of those triggers, there are ways that we could be preventative and try and avoid those triggers.
Yeah, so avoidance is a great one, right? Mm-hmm. You just don't even expose yourself to the thing and you'll be fine. But they're very hard to avoid. So other people, for instance, carry germs and bacteria. Our environment carries germs and bacteria. So maybe we can't avoid it entirely, but we can reduce our exposure by doing simple things like washing our hands.
That full 30 seconds, everyone. Sing that happy birthday song. Get in between all the digits here. Yeah.
Washing hands, especially before you eat, especially after using the bathroom. But just more often is better. Mm-hmm. Maybe wearing a mask if you're in crowded public spaces where you might be close to other people.
Yeah, especially during cold and flu season or when we're more indoors during winter. Yeah, so reducing your exposure and close contact with other people and with dirty environments, I'll say. Why is our world so dirty? The other thing, too, that can add some protection is vaccines.
There we go. Mm-hmm. So we know we're going to be having some exposure to people and the environment. But vaccines. Mm-hmm. Get them all, I say. Get all the recommended ones. So there are new vaccines out for pneumonia. So maybe you were fully covered before, but now there's new ones that can cover you more or better. So do look into those. Mm-hmm. There's a new one out for RSV, respiratory syncytial virus. This is something that historically affects children, but it affects adults now, and it can land people in the hospital, even in the intensive care unit. It's one to take very seriously, and that's why they've come up with the vaccine now. So that's one to consider.
There's your annual flu vaccine.
Flu!
And again, a little bit complicated. So with all these vaccines, talk to your pharmacist and your doctor. But also what will probably end up being a yearly COVID vaccine for most of you that have a chronic lung condition.
Yeah. Pneumonia, RSV, flu, and COVID. Those are the four. Yeah. And you might as well get your shingles while you're at it if you're over 50. Because that'll set you off too, I'm sure.
It's true. Yeah.
So do get vaccinated. We definitely support that because if you do end up running into one of those bugs, the effects will be so much worse than the vaccine.
That's right. Yeah. All about reducing your risk, absolutely.
Yeah, and so it prepares your immune system. It becomes like this superhero to protect you if you treat your immune system well. Yeah. So rest, and vaccines.
Yeah. And we've heard from our participants, surely, that if they've happened to pick up COVID and things like that they're not getting that severe disease because they have been vaccinated, and they feel pretty crappy for a period of time, but they recover, and that's what
the main thing.
That's the main goal. Yeah.
And if it can keep it out of your chest too, right? Mm-hmm. That's a big one.
So we've got vaccines. Probably the number one best thing you can do for your overall health would be to quit smoking. Again, how to do that? It's so complicated. It's another couch conversation. But do seek those out there that can help you with a plan.
Certified tobacco educator.
Absolutely. Your pharmacist, your doctor, respiratory therapist.
Yeah, there's Quit Now. There's so many resources out there, and there is a little bit of funding for some like the patch or gums out there. So there's support to help you quit. And by quitting smoking, we also include vaping in that.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got vaccines, quitting smoking,
washing your
hands,
and
just staying on top of your regular maintenance medications. So the medications you've worked on with your doctor to come up with a plan to kind of slow down that progression of your chronic lung condition, to kind of help with your symptoms, and also to prevent those future exacerbations. And so sometimes, I've had conversations with clients where they're like, I'm taking this inhaler every day. It's expensive. I don't know if it's working. I still, maybe have some symptoms. But the thing you got to keep in mind is they're trying to reduce your risk for exacerbation.
Yeah. Do you take your medications per your plan? Stick with it.
Yeah.
If you're taking the medications and you're not having any breathing symptoms, that's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're unsure, I was just going to say, if you're unsure of your plan, reach out to your healthcare providers. Yeah.
And then the other thing to do with reducing exacerbations is that bugs grow in mucus.
Yes.
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 So if you have mucus in your lungs, you've got to get it out. Get it out.
I don't know if you've noticed if you ever met a respiratory therapist, but we get very excited about mucus.
Mucus.
So there's that, that good mucus. Mucus is natural, normal part of our lung process. It helps to trap dirt, debris, allergen, bacteria, viruses, and it helps to move that and bring that up. And then it's our job to cough that out of our body.
We have little like
hair-like structures.
That pillow, and they all push the mucus out. So when you're healthy, your mucus is nice and runny, it's nice and clear, and it just comes up, and you might not even notice. Every once in a while you go, and you brought your mucus up. Usually we swallow it. That's fine. As long as it's not in your lungs, it's good. So it's supposed to come up. You got to get it out. If it stays in your lungs with all of that, bacteria, it's part of our defense systems, part of our, what do you call it? Our immune system.
Immune system.
Oh my God. I'm getting tired. Immune system. So it is part of your immune system and it protects you. So if your mucus gets too thick, like if you're not drinking enough water, or if you have an infection, it can make your mucus thicker and then it doesn't come out very well.
That's right. Or your chronic lung condition, the pathophysiology of it all might be making that mucus thick. So we might have to work a little harder to get that mucus out, but there are some strategies out there that work.
Yeah, you can hang by your heels and just give yourself a big shake.
We joke.
No, don't do that.
But, you mentioned one of it earlier, which is to keep well hydrated. So not only replenishing our fluids with water, but it can also include trying to limit dehydrating beverages, things like coffees and teas, caffeinated drinks. Alcohol, yeah.
Yeah, so stay hydrated. And then learning some really good mucus clearance techniques. So there are strategies about breathing and coughing that can make it easier for the mucus to come up. So that you don't have to actually literally just sit there and cough. That is probably not the best strategy.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is make your cough really effective.
Absolutely.
And get some nice deep breaths in there first to get the air behind the mucus, and then really give it a good huff or a good cough to get that mucus out. Yeah.
So there are a lot of resources out there for that, including in the popular community, if you want to check out some other videos that we have. There's also devices that can help to get mucus out.
You can buy these devices. They're just little, and they help create a percussive effect, like it just kind of goes...
Someone like tapping.
Yeah. And maybe you've been to a physiotherapist where they actually do some physical vibration on your chest to help loosen things up. So the little devices mean you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
You can do it 2-3 times a day, like a regular lung health routine if you have thick mucus that's hard to cough up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so back to reducing our risk for exacerbations. We've got quit smoking. We have preventing infections and vaccinations. We have clearing mucus. We have really good hand washing. Keeping up with your maintenance medications. That's a pretty good list.
That's a great list. Look at
Yeah.
all these tips and tricks you're getting just from
Yeah.
this one video.
Absolutely.
One couch conversation.
So we hope you have a great new year, and we hope you've enjoyed our video on reducing your risk for exacerbations. If you have any more questions for us, because we know we've given you a lot, do join us in the Poplar community where you can ask your questions. We love getting back to you with the answers, and we'll see you in the next video.
Great. Get out there. Live your best lung life.